A very good morning, everyone. I am Patri. Today, I am going to share a very interesting environmental scientific research in the forest ecology called the Wood Wide Web. Let me ask you something first. Have you ever wondered, can trees talk? Not humans talking, not animals talking, but trees. Most people think forests are silent, right? Just trees standing still. But what if I tell you forests are actually communicating all the time, just not in a way we can see or hear? Let me explain it to you in a simple way. Imagine a forest like a big classroom. Big old trees are like the teachers and small trees are like the students. Now under the ground, there is something very important called mycorrhiza. What is mycorrhiza? Mycorrhiza is actually a mutualistic association between fungi and tree roots where both organisms benefit from the relationship. In simple words, it is when fungi and the tree roots are working together to help each other to survive. Now, imagine this all fungi spreading like invisible cable under the soil, but instead of wires, it is made of fungi threads called mycelium. These fungi connect the roots of different trees together. So, the trees are all linked through the common mycorrhiza network, or known as CMN. The main objective of this study is to investigate how mycorrhizal networks transfer important nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and water between plants. So basically, this study focuses on understanding how these underground fungal networks help plants to exchange resources within the forest ecosystem. Now I will explain the methodology of this study. Actually, this research is based on a review of existing scientific articles rather than a new experiment. So first of all, the authors collected relevant studies from trusted databases like Google Scholar, Scopus, and Web of Science, and only used peer-reviewed journal articles to ensure their reliability. Then they selected studies that focus on mycorrhizal fungi and plant interactions in a real or semi-natural forest environments, especially those that include data on nutrient and carbon transfer. Next, they extracted important information such as the fungal species involved. The method used here is isotopic tracing, or known as molecular analysis, and the main findings on nutrient exchange. After that, all the data were compared to identify common patterns and trends in nutrient exchange mechanism. The second one is forest connectivity through fungal networks, and the third one is ecological benefits to plant communities. Lastly, synthesis of the results. All these findings were combined to form a comprehensive understanding of how mycorrhizal network function in a forest ecosystem and their ecological importance. Move to results. First thing first, what I want you guys to do is look at this first picture. You can see the roots are connecting, right? So what this reviewed studies found is actually quite interesting to me because they show that mycorrhizal networks play a very important role in connecting trees across different forest layers and actually allowing them to share resources underground. For the second picture, this studies using carbon isotope labeling carbon-13 and carbon-14 found that carbon can actually move between plants through fungal networks. This means trees are not separate, but they are actually a part of connected underground system. Moving along, for the third picture, it shows that molecular analysis methods like PCR and DNA sequencing reveal that there is a very high diversity in fungi involved in these networks. This is actually important because it helps forest ecosystem to be more stable and adaptable to changes. The fourth picture, it's actually show that this field observation showed the interaction between plants and fungi is not always the same because it actually depends on the environmental conditions, which is usually stronger in areas where nutrients are limited and where plants are under the shade. Figure 1 shows how the forest is connected through mycorrhizal network across different layers of the ecosystem. Okay, we have three main plants here, which A, B, and Z. Okay, X and Y representing the underground fungal network. First of all, connection between A and B. You can see the dotted line between A and B, right? This is actually shows the possible weak or indirect connection between A and B. This means plants are not strongly exchanging resources directly, and any interaction between them may depend on the other pathway. The second one, role of plant Z, the middle part, the middle plant. Okay, plant Z is actually connected to both A and B through fungal pathways. The arrows 2A and 2B show movement of nutrients through the fungal network. This means Z acts like a bridge for A and B. For a simple explanation, Z helps transfer resources of nutrients between A and B through fungi. Okay, the third one is soil, which X and Y. You can see the bottom arrow at here, the number 3, shows that nutrients can also move through soil. This means transfer is not only through fungi, soil is actually play a crucial role for the nutrients transfer as well. Next, for figure 2, this figure shows a movement of resources between plant, which is plant A and plant B, and their fungal network connection, which X and Y. You guys need to look carefully here because we have 2 parts, which A and B. Okay, moving along with A part, left side. A and B above here are the plants, X and Y down here, represents the fungal network connection. In the middle, there is an arrow, right? This arrow shows no clear net transfer between plants because there is the movement is more isolated within each plant system. In a more simple meaning, there is a little to no strong connection between plant A and plant B. Next, B, right side. N and B are still plants connected to their fungal connection. Here, X and Y. The bold crossing arrows in the middle show a strong movement between plants because this is where carbon and nutrients are moving from plant A to plant B through the fungi. In a more simple meaning, there is now active transfer between A and B through the fungal network. For figure 3, we have 5 diagrams here, which A to E. Let's start from A. A is a balance exchange because plant A, B, and Z are all connected, and here nutrients move in both directions fairly and equally. This means plants are sharing resources. The next one, for B, it's a one-way stronger flow because A and Z exchange strongly, but B has a weaker connection, and this means A is more connected than B. Moving along to C. C means A gives more than it receives. A sends more nutrients to Z, but B is a less involved plant. So this means A acts like a donor plant here. For D, B gives more than it receives. B sends more nutrients to plant Z, but A is a less active. So B becomes the main donor. The last one, E, only one strong connection, which means only A and Z are strongly connected, but B is mostly isolated. So this means some plants may not participate much in the network system. So, based on the findings of this study, it is clear that mycorrhizal networks play a very important role in the forest ecosystem by connecting plants across different layers. This study shows that fungal diversity is very important as well because a higher variety of fungi helps the ecosystem more stable and more able to adapt to environmental changes. Besides that, environmental factors like light availability and nutrient levels also affect how strong the interaction is between plants and fungi. So the network doesn't always work the same way everywhere. However, one important point is that nutrient transfer is not always equal or consistent because it depends on the environment and the type of species involved. To conclude, mycorrhizal networks are like a hidden underground system that connects all the plants in a forest. These networks are really important because they help plants share nutrients, survive better, and keep the whole ecosystem stable. From all of this study, we can see that forests are not just a separate tree standing alone, but it is actually a highly connected living system. However, scientists still need more research to fully understand how these networks work in a natural environment and what limitation that they may have. So, this is the acknowledgement, this is the reference, and thank you so much for having me.